Hey, good morning. Justin here from Kamikaze Moto. I was about ready to hop on the bike. So before I did that, I wanted to get a little modification on the motorcycle finished up because it's only going to take a couple minutes. So what arrived in the mail last night was this. These are the Long Boy idle mix screws from Factory Pro Tuning. That's factorypro.com. It's a little bit of a splurge, but I have to be honest, ever since modifying my motorcycle with the exhaust and opening up the air box and putting in K&N filter and modifying the jets and all that, I can tell that my motorcycle, it reacts more to the weather and the climate and elevation with regard to the idle. I can really feel it mostly when I start to get on the throttle a little bit, just to start to crack it open. You know, is the bike gonna be a little more smooth, or am I gonna sort of feel a slight hesitation? So, you know, when when conditions change, I do tend to like to make an adjustment on the idle mix and get it just perfect. That's just me. When I do that, I use a little screwdriver bit, which is sort of annoying, but luckily my fingers are skinny enough. I can get up underneath the carb and I can make a little turn on each one, and they're all set to be the same, so it's not difficult. You know, I can turn it in and cut the fuel back a little bit or out and give it a little more fuel, and I never have to turn it much. We're talking like an eighth of a turn, a quarter at most. So now with these Long Boy idle mix screws, it'll be much easier. I don't have to carry a bit around, because sometimes I don't have this with me or something like that, and then I just can't even make the adjustment. But now I'll just be able to reach underneath, grab into the knob on the end of that idle mix screw and make the adjustment. And what I'm going to do is get them in right now, and since it's so easy, I figured I might as well shoot a little quick video and talk about it just a little bit. Alright, here you have it, my nice clean carburetors on the 97 Suzuki Bandit, and I'll get underneath here, and I almost can't imagine that somebody out there doesn't know where these idle mix screws are on such an old bike, but it is this. You can see that hole right there. The idle screw is up in there. So what I've been doing is grabbing my bit, getting it in there, trying to find the groove in the screw. There, it just slipped in, and I can't turn it easy either way, so I know I've got it in there right. And then, of course, if I need to make an adjustment, I just turn it one way or the other a little bit. And usually there's a stamped number on the bit. You can kind of see it right there, number 5. And so I can tell how many turns I'm doing, but I never have to turn it much anyway. It's tuned up pretty well. I might do just that much, you know, and that solves the condition that I'm feeling. So in order to do this correctly and take these out and put in the Long Boys and get them all in the exact proper position, the process is to get your screws screwed all the way in. So I'm going to be turning clockwise, get it all the way in, and you have to count exactly how many turns, and then you can unscrew it. Okay, so let's start that process. Be a little bit slow. I may have trouble doing it and recording it at the same time. Okay, so I can't watch the camera. I've got to watch my bit and watch that number 5. That's stamped on there. That was 1 turn in. I should have it another whole turn I can go. That's 2 turns in. Well, and that's it. It's 2 turns. I mean, I can go just a tiny hair more. Barely. But that's it. 2 turns. Now, I can simply pull the whole thing out. And again, all my carburetors are set to be exactly the same. If they're not the same, then likely, you know, on your bike, if you had to set them different to get them tuned up right, my guess would be that there's some sort of condition that's causing one carburetor to not operate the same as the others. A minor air leak or something like that. Now I don't really want to drop or lose anything, so I'm trying to be careful here. even though I can only work with one hand. And you can see the screw there. Try to get in a little bit closer. Yeah. I think, oh yeah, it wants to fall. I'm turning it, but I really wasn't doing anything of any value. So there's that. Let's take a look at this. This is the first time I've ever had it out. Looks fine. It's got its seal. It's clean. Doesn't appear to be damaged at all. It kind of looked like there was little grooves on the tip, but they're not grooves. It's just like markings from, you know, grime. So that's that. It's out. Now all I have to do is take the long boy and screw it in. When you pull your old idle mix screws out, make sure you get this little washer and the seal. So I just pulled one out, and the washer and seal were still up inside there. So you need to make sure that the spring comes out, and the little washer, and the seal. And by the way, once you see, I've got a couple out here and I'm trying to keep them in a bag. Once you take them out, compare them to your new long boys. Make sure that this whole section through here is identical. By the way, in order to get the washer and seal out, I just had this piece of wire. You can kind of see how the wire has like a little bit of a jagged end to it where I snipped it, so I was able to stick it up in there and just kind of fish the washer and seal out. Okay, so I just blasted out the opening in there with this is just compressed air for like a keyboard or something. So I cleaned the air out that way, or you know, clean the space out up in there and the threads and everything. That way I don't accidentally push some grime up in. And then I've got my new mix screw, and make sure that you've got the spring, then the washer, and then the seal. Make sure that your seal's nice and clean. Make sure that the tip of this doesn't have any damage or dings, or that it's, you know, make sure it's not bent or anything. And then go nice and careful up in there. And I started to check this already. It would be really easy to start cross-threading this. So I just recommend that, you know, you go back first, the opposite direction that it screws, and you may feel a little bit of a click where the thread there, right there. I don't know if it showed in the video, but I was backing it out, and then all of a sudden it clicked where the threads start to overlap together. So then you can screw it in, and it should screw nice and easy. And I would try not to jiggle it around too much. You don't want that seal up in there to bounce around, but at this point it can't go anywhere. So I'll get it up in there. It's really easy. Of course, you got a lot of torque that you can put on this because of this knob. Makes it so much easier to turn that screw. I'm sure these are meant for like a racing application where people are needing to make an adjustment often. Okay, now it just bottomed out, just snug. I'm not going to go any further. I don't want to cause any damage, and I don't want to smush that seal up in there too much. So now that it bottomed out, because I checked my previous idle mix screw and how many turns in it was, which was 2, I'm going to now back this out 2 complete turns. There's 1, and there's 2. Very simple. I know that as soon as I fire up the bike, it's going to run perfect, but I do need to get the other ones in. So I'll do that, and then we'll fire it up. We'll see how it goes. You can see I have all 4 of them in place now. Yep. And they've all been screwed all the way in until it bottomed out and then backed out 2 exact turns. I guess I would point out that the flat edge, the flat side of the knobs on these screws, they are not all going to be in the exact same position. So don't just put those facing the same direction. Each individual one, put it all the way in, back it out however many turns was right for you. And I did notice when I pulled mine out, I don't know if you'll be able to tell. If I can get the reflection off the plastic, that would help. Okay, but like that one, it's hard to tell on the video so much, but that tip has been kind of worn down. It's not a perfect cone shape. It doesn't have a nice smooth edge or angle on it. And then, let's see here. That one I'm holding. There, you can kind of tell that one a little bit more. See how it's all kind of pressed in and it doesn't have a flat edge on that tip? I'm not sure how that happens unless somebody had screwed them in too tight or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah, there's a little bit of damage. And I should mention that when you get these out, make absolutely certain you get the washer and the seal out. I really, the ones that were further back up in there, you know, I had to make sure I had my hand cupped underneath as I pulled it out. And I guess at this point we can get it fired up, but I got a cold engine. I'll have to use the choke anyway, so let me get it warmed up and then start it, and we'll see how well it idles. Okay, it's not fully warmed up, and you can see my idle's a little low. It's not stabilized, and I have a little bit of a backfire sound in my exhaust, so I will, let's see here. I'll turn each one out a half turn. Those 2 are set. First is well, I was gonna say I think what I wanted to do is get my idle speed up a little bit, but it's just about where it's supposed to be. I'll turn it up just a tiny bit. That's with this knob back here. I've got to screw it in a little bit. I picked up the speed just a little bit. see that? My idle speed picked up about maybe 50 to 100 RPM. Sounds mean. I'm going to give it just a little bit more. Now it's at 1500 and it's a little bit more stable, but it's not supposed to be at 1500, it's supposed to be at 1200. So I'm going to turn the idle speed back down. Too low. It's close. That should be 1200. So at this point it's really close. I'll ride it around. The engine may even be overheating at this point, so it'd be hard to tune it. So I'll play with it just a tiny bit more, but as you can see, it's really close.